Wait, is it recording now? Write this down. Complex fractions. When people get confused about complex fractions, really what complex fractions mean are basically fractions in fractions. What you need to remember is that a fraction line is a division problem. Starting with the simplest of simple from the book, people get confused when they see this. 1/5 over 2/3. Well, that's the easiest because a fraction line is a division symbol. This is the same thing as 1/5 divided by 2/3, which means you just do what to solve it? 1/5 times 3/2, and you get 3/10. That is not difficult, is it?
No.
Negative. But it starts looking more complicated when you see something like this. 1/2 plus 1/3 over 1/3 plus 1/4. Look how complicated they are. And when you see fraction problems or problems inside fraction things, shell hammer. Okay, what you have to remember is that this is a grouping symbol, which means you need to simplify this and simplify this, get it down to a single fraction, and then it just becomes the same division problem you just talked about. So this would look like this. And this is where you really desperately need to do this on a big piece of paper, because trying to do it on a small one, you get a little confused. What is 1/2 plus 1/3?
5/6.
Let's see, this is 3/6, and that's 2/6. So this whole thing simplifies to 5/6. The bottom, 1/3 plus 1/4 simplifies to 7/12. Now that you've got it down to one fraction, now you do this divided by this. It's 5/6 divided by 7/12, which is 5/6 times 12/7. Which ends up being, oh look, this cross cancels. 20 over 14? No, I should have, why did I cancel that more? 10 over 7? Is that what it ends up being? Perfect, everybody's good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't want to insult your intelligence by giving you such an easy problem. Let's pick one of these. Which one right now would you say looks the hardest?
14.
Oh, you know what? We will not do 14 because we haven't. That requires something we haven't done just yet. These are not your choices. This is not your choice. This is not your choice. This is not your choice.
Do 4.
Do number
This
one.
is not a choice. This could be a choice. I don't think you'd have trouble with that. I don't think you'd have trouble with that. I don't think you'd have trouble with anyone's. Give me one but those 4.
Oh, 6.
Number one.
6.
6. Somebody says 6. Let's do 6. One 6.
Come on, Madison's reason.
I don't care. 6. You gotta go? No, you're not.
Can you for the last problem we did, could you cross off 1 times 2 is on the bottom 2 is
Whoa. Hold on. Let me paste
I was
this.
actually kind of
Let
worried.
me put this paste this on my next page, and then I will answer that question. You said for this here? No, here?
Yeah.
Could I not do what?
See, like when you
Cross
cross,
off.
like at the beginning of the problem.
Could you cross
Here?
Yeah. Then you cross off 130.
No. Remember, children, the only time you can cross off things on top of things on bottom is if they're factors. It has to be multiplication. It can't be addition. You're not allowed to do this, just like if you had this. Why isn't that right? If you have this, 3,
Yeah.
if you have 3 plus 6 over 6 plus 9, you can't just cross off those 6, because they're not, if it was multiplication, yes you could. 3 times 6 over 6 times 9, you can cross off the 6's, but addition, no. Because you know the answer to this problem should be 9 over 15, that's the real answer, which would be what, 3/5. But if you cross these off, the 6 is off, what do you end up with? 3 9s, which is 1/3, and it doesn't work unless they are multiplication, not addition. But that's a good question, because people get confused there. So, going back to this one. Oh, time is quickly. Oh, well this one's not hard. Why did you ask me this one?
It looks hard from far away.
Yes. Well, and you probably don't catch this, but I'll do it anyways, just because we might as well. This is already simplified to 1 fraction over 1 fraction. So it's just going to be w plus 4 over w divided by w squared minus 16 over w, which means it is, you have to flip and multiply by the second fraction. We may not be able to do this one either, because I don't think we've factored.
The W's cross off.
This time the w's would cross off. And you end up with w plus 4 over w squared minus 16. Wait, we've done FOIL, haven't we done FOIL?
Yeah.
Where you factor things?
Yeah.
Okay, you might think you're done here. Okay, but, so you have w plus 4. The only way you'd ever get this to cross off with something is if you had a w plus 4 in parentheses on the bottom. So you have to look and say, can I factor w squared minus 16? You can, because these are both perfect squares. I don't remember talking about this year, have we? Was it last year we did this? Okay, well, don't worry if you don't get this, because we will come back to it not very long. Since these are both perfect squares and this is a minus sign, since those two things are true, you can factor this into what? W plus 4 times W minus 4. Because if you did FOIL on that, you would end up with no middle term. You'd get W squared for the first term, you get minus 16 for the second term. There's no middle term because you get plus 4W minus 4W, goes away. So then, because these are factors, boys and girls and kids of all ages, you could cross those two off. And your answer would be, somebody?
1 over W minus 4.
Thank you, don't forget that 1 on top. I was waiting for somebody just to say W minus 4, and that would be right. I should have said you're not allowed to ask me to do that one, because I don't think we're ready for that one, but there's gotta be one. I was hoping somebody would say problem number 9.
Problem number 9.
Problem number 9. Problem number 9. There was somebody, what was that? It's always Caleb that gets us in trouble. Huh? What did I do? Logan, it's always Logan that gets us in trouble. What did I do? I don't
You said
know.
something.
Watch this. I think if I clip and paste this and then make it small again, it'll sharpen up.
Maybe.
You just can't see it all because this is so big. Watch. Make it smaller, make it look at how it, you know, put the eye doctor. I'm glad somebody asked on number 9. Who was it that asked?
I did.
I did too in unison.
Listen, just like that problem that we did that had the two fractions, the one where you asked if they could cross off and I said no. Okay, you have to simplify this down to 1 fraction, so you're gonna have to do the subtraction there. You're gonna have to do R over S minus S over R.
How could you do that?
Oh, there's somebody that asked how do I do that. Anybody? You have to get common denominators. What is your common denominator of S and R? Thank you very much. It's those two things multiplied together. It is SR and SR. That's your common denominator. What do you multiply R by to get S?
S
SR? Yeah, you multiply by S. So you have to multiply the top by S. What's S times S?
squared.
Squared. What do you multiply S by to get R?
R
R. So R times R is R squared. Bam.
Well, that.
Adding those together, Cabron,
It's subtracting.
I'm subtracting those, you get, your denominator stays SR. And what is R squared minus S squared? R squared minus S squared. Just like it's adding fractions, Cabron. What part, where did I lose you? On how to get equal denominators?
The whole thing.
Well, you gotta remember, when you're dealing with letters, you just multiply them together, that's your common denominator. And just like with those other fractions, how do I go from R to get SR? I need to multiply by the missing S. So I have to multiply the top by the missing S. I'm gonna go do an easier fraction again, same thing here, I'm missing the R, so I have to multiply by the R, so I have to multiply the top by the R as well.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Then on the bottom, you have the same thing, 1 over S plus 1 over R. Your common denominator, again, is SR. Here you're missing the S, so you multiply by the S on top, you get S. Here you're missing the R, so you multiply on top by R, you get R. Here we go, Cabron, here's your chance. So when I add these together, what do I get, Cabron? When I add these together, what do I get?
S,
What's my bottom number?
S times
No, it's just SR. When you add fractions together, the bottom stays. What is the top? No, it's not multiplying. R plus S. What's that? Now where was I? So then I put that under here. R plus S over SR. What do? I have to divide by the bottom one. So it ends up being R squared minus S squared over SR. Divided by the bottom one, which is R plus S over SR. And to divide, I have to flip a multiply, so R squared minus S squared over SR. I keep with S squared. E times SR over R plus S. What's going to cross off? SRs, they're the same. And you're left with this, R squared minus S squared over R plus S. Anybody see anything there? It's just like the last one we talked about. The only way anything would cross off is if you can get an R plus S in parentheses on top. You can't just pull an R out of that because this is addition subtraction. This is that whole perfect square thing again. This R times R gives you that, S times that gives you that. It's a minus sign in the middle, so it ends up being R plus S times R minus S. And guess what crosses off? Nobody wrote that down.